author, but dude's like again, the jet's great. I think it's, and the other one is we've been talking about is the evolution of it too, is just like the Viper as the Dave BFM fighter, is now way different and doing way different things, strapping Istas onto that thing. Is the Hog could do that, and it has. Is like you have just upgraded the airplane, and then the same concepts and the mentality didn't change; it just evolved, and it could do that. Like, what if JASM went farther?
Yeah,
It's like what?
Oh, dude, don't. Oh, God.
What if we put Jazz? What if we put Jazz? Speaking of being in the trough till 5 a.m, it is like Mauled and SDB on Hogs was born out of a midnight to 4 a.m. conversation.
Yep.
And all these different things that, but you could do so many things. You can put it on there. You throw a hog driver into the seat and say, hey,
if I had a time machine,
the goal is to maintain an over-the-horizon communication capability for isolated personnel after you shoot your JASM. It's like that. That's nice. Like
Dude, so when you guys had that, I was in Ascent at the time, and I was back for like 3 months. And I remember like the last thing I did in the trough was I came back, Pinch, basically, who will be named now, he threw me under the bus.
Pinch, we miss you, man.
Because he was like, hey, man, one of us needs to be the Wisdom Phase manager, and one of us needs to do LJ 400. And PETA, great American, is in the van with us down in Florida. And I was just like, well, dude, you've been here for 3 months working the phase management stuff. I'll just take LJ 400. And then PETA just goes, I think you took the wrong deal there, Duffel. And so I was like, you got to be. And Pinch just starts laughing. The reason I bring that up is the entire time that I was gone was this Mauled, SDB, JASM, what are these ideas? And I remember the last meeting, it was after my Finney flight. And I think it was a couple of the OGs were out for patch night. Or no, it was before my Finney flight, it was patch night. And they were like, well, what would you give up to have these things? And I just said, everything. And they were like, what do you mean, everything? I'm like, dude, like, what else are we doing? Like, the jet is already well meched for CAS. The pilots are already well trained for CAS, right? Like, we are good at that. Now I want to do things that are, to your point, evolution. And so, like, if we stopped everything else and put these longer range capabilities on the Hog, that's a win. Because at the end of the day, I can always go back to what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But I was probably like hungover when I said that, and I just interrupted the OGs and said everything. I do have everything. Like, why wouldn't I? Because I'm already good at the other stuff.
I got the distinct privilege of being in that room too, Duffel, if you remember.
That's right, you were there, and it was that's right. It was patch night
and
patch day.
Yeah. Oh.
Yep. And it was just like everything, dude. Why wouldn't I?
I was the first one to pile on when he started going back and saying, no, we have to stay focused on our bread and butter. And I'm like, we could do nothing to this airplane for close air support, combat search and rescue, or forward air control for the next 20 years, and it will still be the best airplane to do those missions. Yep. If we do a couple small things for doing beyond visual range engagement, whether it's supplying decoys to help out 5th gen fighters or supplying long-range precision-guided munitions, those are things that actually make the A-10 relevant in a pure conflict. And the crappy part is, like, there was still a lot of pushback. The program office had the same mindset of, like, we don't have those mission sets. And I'm like, that's because we can't do those things. Once we can show that we can do these things and employ these weapons, then we'll train to the mission sets. But if we can't employ the weapons, there's no point in even training to it. And that's when we started getting buy-in. That's when you had program office got on board, OG commanders got on board, wing commanders got on board, and we just started pushing. And we finally pushed those two across the line. And they're paradigm changing, right? Prior to small diameter bombs,
pure conflict. It's the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first 2 weeks.
It's the first 2 weeks because everybody, all like working where I work now, the focus is very much on the kicking in the door. First night, first couple weeks of conflict, where If you are somebody in the 0506 range or above right now, your knowledge of the A-10 in another community, you flew Vipers or Eagles or something else, you think of the A-10 as CAS and only CAS, and CAS is in phase 3 if you want to get into the nomenclature of how the Air Force thinks about campaigns. And phase 3 is basically when the Army gets involved and the Air Force starts supporting the Army, and the Air Force is not the supported command, which is what happens in phase 2 when you're doing all the phase 2 stuff. So if you want to make the A-10 a phase 2 platform, you need to do different things to it. And historically, it's like, okay, the only thing that the A-10 can do there is CSAR, and even then, it's like, well, there's too many threats out there, and whatever. We're not really going to be doing CSAR. You're just going to be running around bedding down dudes, so to speak. So,
which is important.
yeah,
which, by the way, is important. So, like,
Yeah,
even if you're not picking them up, bedding them down matters.
Yes, 100%. But I think Flash or whoever said, like, we could be the tactical version of the B-52, where you have this ancient platform that just stays around forever because it does certain things that nobody else does, i.e., we can carry a bunch of stuff, we can go anywhere, and we can hang around for a long time, relatively speaking, compared to other platforms, which means we can manage your battle space for you. And if you haven't done any homework, or if you haven't noticed, the Air Force has gotten rid of all the TAC C2 platforms until the Wedgetail or whatever comes on board. So you've got really your JTACs running around in vans down by the river with radios trying to do TAC C2 things, which is really your only option, but it's not ideal, right? So there's a lot of stuff that the jet brings to the table, and the only reason why we're getting rid of it is because we say it's time to get rid of it, and it is, but not for the reasons that most people think.
Yeah, and the whole name of the game these days is if I have a single point of failure C2 node, it's going to get shot down, and it's like, hey, that thing is controlling everything. I'm going to make that go away. And it's like, so distributed data passage and just having the amount of things I still say the A-10 is the most interoperable airplane I have ever flown. It's like 5, arguably 6 radios. You can plug in another one. And it's like, I still know how to use a quick draw. It's like, but as far as like how that's going is like saddle with a link gateway. You could do some other thing. Anyways, all the things is that you could put it on there and go there. And to Kelsey's point, like paradigm shifting. And when we talk about what we're going to do for the kick in the door and first week or 2 of a peer threat or a peer campaign, is like, all right, well, we got to build these little buddies that fly with us because we need to overwhelm the IADs with numbers. And here's like, well, there's 340 A-10s still sitting around. It's just like numbers that are our friend. And if you have numbers that can also do stuff, that is a game changer. That is a game changer, and again has always been a tenet of warfare of mass. And you can mass appropriately with the right capabilities. And I don't know. I just think we're all gonna miss this here very shortly, or we could have done a little better. But that's all right.
You never know.
That's all right,
dude. One positive thing I will say about the way the community's gone in the last couple of years, now that like divestment is a thing, right? Like, dude, I'm here in DC. Like, you can't find anyone. I mean, dude, the crack in the dam happened, right? Congress was like, okay, you can start retiring. And so, like, dude, here's the thing: platforms go away. The last 80 years will tell you that platforms go away. Everyone here has said it. What matters is what that platform taught those people, because of what the people focused on while they're in that platform.